Welcome, everyone. Are you enjoying CommsView Next so far? Yes? So what's your favorite session so far? You can say this one later if somebody asks. But,
Has there been one round of sessions after keynote?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Joy Apple, I missed hers. That's the one I wanted to do, Joy's. Okay. So we're doing Copilot, the age of, or with project management and the age of Copilot. How many of you are currently using Copilot? Awesome. All right. So introduce myself. I'm Shari Oswald. They call me Shortcut Shari. It started out as a joke and it kind of stuck. So if you want to reach out to me out on the socials, feel free to do so. That's my blog, my email, my LinkedIn. And I also have actually as of yesterday, 4 courses again on LinkedIn Learning. A 5th one is coming out next week. So feel free to check out those as well. And I will let Mr.
Yeah, and this is I'm just louder. I can hear myself louder. My voice carries. I was an actor now. So I'm a 13-time MVP, a Microsoft regional director that nobody knows what that is. That's okay. A lot of RDs don't know what that is either. I actually started my career as a technical project manager, and so through the 90s, and built PMOs as a consultant, and found my way into the Microsoft ecosystem by doing a project server install. Has anybody ever installed project server? Yeah. Okay. It's not really a thing anymore, so that's okay, but it was awful and it never really worked. So, and it was a kind of funny, quick story, but that with it, you had to use an early version of SharePoint. And I tried to talk a couple of major clients out of going with that piece of garbage called SharePoint in 2004, 2005. And a year later, I went to work for Microsoft working on SharePoint. I kind of understood the roadmap, where it was going. It was still garbage back then, 2003 version, but I saw the potential of that and got involved in it.
We know it's garbage now, but at the time it was not, right? It was kind of
No, it was. No, but the difference being is that I worked, that was pre-MOS. That was 2007 version, which improved it. Yeah. But I worked with this PLM software, if anybody works in the manufacturing sector, product lifecycle management. The difference was that product in 2001 to 2005 looked like SharePoint 2010, but it started at $1 million just to get started, no matter how big your team was, $1 million and then up. So, yeah, that's kind of the history there, but all right. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to tag team today. And I'm going to start out, we're going to talk about the tool set. So let's talk about what's in the hour. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Okay, that's done. Check.
Check.
All right.
What's in the toolbox? So this is my piece. I'm going to show you what we have currently in the toolbox and what's Copilot enabled, and give you a couple quick demos on that. We have some videos to share. What's new with Copilot is going to be Christian. He's going to show you all the cool new stuff that's coming out. So the challenge that we have is there's not a lot of demo environments, so we can do things live. So there's kind of a mix of live and videos and screenshots that we.
I just should ask: is anybody doing the preview, the private preview for the new PM agent? Did anybody watch the session on it with Howard Crow from Ignite? All right, so it'll all be new. Cool. I think you're going to really like where it's going. We don't even.
That's the next door room. That's not even us. So.
There's time for mistakes in the presentation. But yeah, there's a lot that's coming. It's, we don't even have it yet. That's how new this stuff is. So.
I'm sorry. I just had this visual of everybody in that room going.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll do wrap up and questions at the end. Yeah. Time permitting. All right. So understanding what's in Copilot. Copilot, as everybody, heard this now. It's your co-pilot. It's not the pilot. It's your assistant. And it's different than search. So when I'm talking to people about Copilot and they're like, well, why can't I just Google that or Bing that or whatever? Like searching for and asking for information from Copilot, it's kind of like talking to a teenager. You can't just say, take out the garbage. My son, I'm like, there are 4 trash cans. There are 4 trash bags. You must consolidate all the trash bags, put them in the trash, and then take them to the big garbage can. Because otherwise you get this one or that one, maybe these 2 the next time. He never seemed to understand there are 4 of each.
That's actually a great analogy, because that's exactly how, using generative AI works. If you just said, and take out my garbage, and it would provide you a result and be like, awesome, it took out the garbage. And then you go look around, like, wait a second, the rest of the house never got emptied. You took one of them out.
Yeah.
It followed that. So that's why it's the trust but verify.
You trust but verify. And that came into play when my husband was in charge for the week and I was traveling, and I come back and my son's like, I want to go out tonight. I'm like, no, you haven't taken the trash out. He goes, yes, I did. I'm like, no, because that Starbucks cup in my office has been there all week long since I was gone. So trust but verify. Right. So helping with using Copilot, you can find out information. It can summarize for you. It does add a little bit more intelligence. So I always like to say, when you're looking for using search, you're looking for content. When you're looking with Copilot, it's context. So you have to give it that context. So don't trust it. Don't take it for its word, but it does give you a really good starting point.
Can I just point out too, that for the folks that don't have Copilot, paid for, are you using though, like other AI tools? Are you using ChatGPT? Are you using? Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing, is I would just say, if you don't have it paid for people on your team that don't have licenses for it, you can still go and get a lot done using the free version that was informally being searched now, Copilot, the Microsoft search. It has a version of that. Just remember, that's the public version, not if you want the security, the lockdown, it's not training on my data, that's what you have to pay for.
Yeah, we did a AMA with Jay Lee's, because that's when the light bulb went on for me. It was like, oh.
Consumer versus, enterprise grade.
All right. So some of you might, how many of you are project managers? All right. Does this look
or project management adjacent, I should say.
This was your father's project management. All right. We had time, we had budget, we had resources, and if you changed any one of those, it affected the other two. If you you needed more people to bring the timeline back into play, then you'd have to have more money. So does anybody recognize this? All right, this is not your father's project management or your mother's. So we're going to do a fun little exercise. I'd like you to let me know, what are the tools that you're currently using?
We do this as well. I have a phone.
You have a phone?
I can do stuff.
Grab a phone. I probably should have warned you to do that.
It'll populate this, so yeah, we want to see.
And if you're online, if you go to menti.com, the code is 85130994.
Oh, that just rolls off.
I planted something there.
Where is it?
Yeah. I love Menti.
Yeah.
I'm sorry? Oh, you should be able to put more than.
No, it's saying you've already joined it.
You want to put in more? Okay.
Who's been able to get into it? Yeah, right.
It should have been a multiple answer. Okay.
It's not letting me in.
We have pen and paper.
All right.
All right. Me too. Who has the sticky notes all over their desk? Okay, I found the Rocket Book. I'm just telling you, changed my life. I love the Rocket Book. Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
Well, no. What's that really nice one that I think it's an Amazon product? That's a note-taking one that. Yeah, Remarkable is another one that's really good. Yeah, it's just more expensive, but and it doesn't integrate. I mean, that's the main thing. But
I still have pen and paper. I still want to write things down because I remember things. All right, so it looks like Planner is the winner right now in the front of the pack.
Microsoft Project Online versus desktop version. Yeah, which is all going away. Yep. In fact, we just looked at the date. I thought it was like a year and a half away. It's October this year. Yeah.
Crazy.
That's for both the 2013 and 2019 versions.
For me, it's like QuickBooks Online. Nope, not doing it. I don't like it. It's garbage. That's kind of how I feel.
Well, it is kind of forcing Microsoft's hand, though, to update and add the features to Planner, which is we've been asking for years as well.
Decades. Something like that. Feels like it.
Years.
All right. So as we can see, there's lots of tools. So let's look at some of the tools that are in the toolbox in Microsoft 365. So to do, how many of you are using to do? Very good. Okay. So I use that mainly for personal tasks. How about you? Yeah. Is it meant for project management? No. So these first few are really more about personal productivity. We've got Microsoft 365. We have OneDrive. We have Forms. We have Loop. We have Planner, which I know that's the old logo. I couldn't get the new logo, but it's the new logo is technically Planner and To Do together, so I don't get that anyway. Teams, and then project management. And there's some underlying tools underneath these, but this is at the very basics of what we have. Right. So we have our productivity tools, things like Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, OneNote. And we're using those. How many of you use that for your project management? Yeah. So we have documents and things, but we also can use, how many of you use Excel to manage your tasks? So that's the biggest question is like, what do I use? Which tool do I use? Because there's so many. I always talk about the toolbox. The apps are the tools. Teams is the toolbox. We roll up all the tools into the toolbox. So as you're managing your projects, if you're leveraging Teams, surface those things. Right.
I would say that who is anybody using, have you replaced using Excel with lists? Using lists for project management?
Yes, please.
Like I've heard some people that have started to move towards that. Right. And right. And Microsoft's answer to that is do what makes sense for yourself. Like if that makes sense, like, right.
They're telling us not to be prescriptive on what, they don't want to be prescriptive on which tool they use. They're just giving you options.
They hate the whole, Microsoft hates the which tool to use when. They're like, that's the wrong way to approach it. You should think about what is the output? What am I trying to achieve with this? And then use the right technology for that. And so, yeah.
So in Teams, we can leverage things like lists, SharePoint, and Whiteboard, the other tools that are behind the scenes there. So these are collaborative tools. We do have documents, we store things, but actually for productivity, I kind of centered that on the Microsoft, what was called Microsoft Office now. It's Copilot, whatever. Yeah.
There's a lot of overlap. Yeah.
And then we have these enterprise tools like Project, which is going away as of October. And then DevOps and the dynamic stack that does some project management. We're not going to cover those today. That's just
anybody using DevOps?
Or, yeah. Somebody put it out. Yeah.
No, and this is
it's a very specific tool, I think, for developers and yeah.
Right. Well, that's what it's there for. It's not meant for all the project management. It has some overlap there. So there's been a lot of questions like, well, Dynamics team went and built this. You have to understand, like Microsoft, like sometimes these product teams, for good or bad, don't talk to each other and go down their own path for their customers. Like we all know that. I know. And so there's been some discussion, but like talking with, because I've asked Jeff Teeper, who's now the president of Collaborative Apps and Services, I interview him a couple times a year for different events and asked him about that. And he said, I don't own the Dynamics like they're going to do. So it's all we can do is make suggestions. And Satya has not come and laid down the law like you must integrate these things. So until that happens, it probably won't.
Yeah. That was my magic wand wish at the MVP summit. Was, could y'all just talk to each other?
We all just get along.
Yeah, right. All right, so let's talk about our functional workspaces. We're going to break down the tool set by how we're using these tools. First thing we have to do is task management. So here's some ideas. We have tasks, we have timelines, we have resource management. What other types of task management do y'all have?
How are you managing the tasks? You've got your work breakdown structure, or maybe it's just implied, and how are you tracking them? How are you managing those?
So managing different tasks. Okay. So the timelines, the resource management, budget. Maybe we're managing budget in there too.
Yeah. That's another place where you have the ability to push things from OneNote to tasks on the Exchange side of things that will show up in To-Do, but it's separate from the planner side of things and that integration. So there's been talk for a long time. I don't know if you know this. You know the new OneNote? That's being shut down because, which is like everybody's happy. Well, because when you release something with a third of the features and then never update it, people don't like that. But there's been, again, a strong push for like, okay, if you're going to keep this, it needs deeper integration. You need to be able to push it like a page in OneNote with all the discussions. You need to be able to tie that to the relevant plan, that planner board. So I don't know where that talk is, but there's been discussions. They've have feedback. Correct.
Wait for it. We learned some stuff in MVP Summit. We can't talk about yet, but wait.
Yeah, there's more coming.
We manage our documents, things like resources, deliverables. We manage our meetings. So where do we do that? Scheduling, notes, and action items that come out of those meetings. And then we have our status and reporting. So how do we get the information out about how we're doing? Are we on time? Are we on budget? Do we have enough people?
I was just going to throw in there. It's like, so Shari and I, we're part of a group of us that do a bunch of, Microsoft 365 Ask Me Anything, AMA recordings. And we've answered now over 500 questions from the community. And the most common theme of those questions is all around scheduling, calendaring, because there's a dozen different ways to do in each of the different applications that are out there. And I wish there was a better story. So there's not a pot of gold at the end of that, unfortunately, yet. But
and my number one videos on my Shortcut Shari blog, tips and tricks, is the task management. Those are the number one viewed videos. So between managing calendars and managing your tasks, I think that's interesting statistics. All right, so let's focus in on task management. Which tools do we have for that? So the ones that are highlighted are the ones that are enabled by Copilot. So of the ones that we have available to us, we have Planner, which is coming. It's in preview. I tried to do it last night. I don't have it yet. There's some Loop components that are Copilot enabled. All of the Microsoft applications for task management. Now, Word and PowerPoint also have Copilot, but that's not where we manage our tasks, right? Or shouldn't be, hopefully. So these are some of the options that we have that are Copilot enabled. Anybody using these currently with the Copilot enablement? I think nobody said they had it yet. Is that right?
So again, anything out of the Office suite up there, the tasks version that's there is the Exchange tasks, which then show up in To-Do. And because there's actually somebody at Microsoft that owns the tasks across all of the different products. So they're trying to, like they did with the sharing button. Remember a few years back how you go to PowerPoint versus any other product and it was different? It was a different experience, what you could share, and they unified that. They're trying to do that with task management. So basically anything in any product, if a task is assigned, that it pushes it to today to do through the Exchange route, but eventually it should be able to have that, again, the long-term version, no dates associated with that.
In theory.
To unify all of that and be able to specify to a plan and a board for those tasks. But we're just not there yet. Yes. Office 360,
Office 365 is now M365 Copilot.
So Office 365 is part, so Microsoft 365 is a combination of Office 365, Windows, security, and mobility stuff. So with the old versions, because I have my old system at my old workstation at home had all of the desktop versions of the earlier versions for that. And there's conflicts all the time. So I've been having to remove that and just use the modern version to get for everything to work together. So I'm migrating to a new Windows 11 machine, so for my old Windows 10, like I drive a car until it catches on fire on the side of the road, and then I walk away, so same with a computer that works and does everything I need to do. Why walk away from that? So I've just not made the move for that. My laptop is 11. Everything works the way it's supposed to work.
So you get the discount at the MVP summit.
So that they're just waiting for people to make that, move on their own up, to the modern version and stop using the old versions of that. So yes, there is. Yeah, I know. Yep.
All right. Well, we got to move along because we got a lot to get through. So I love the discussion. That's why it's like, how can these only be 50 minutes? We just have so much time. All right. So for our, which tools for task management, we have the applications that have the task management tools enabled. For resource management or document management, we have all of the Microsoft Office suite. You can use any of the applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They all have superpowers as far as Copilot's concerned. But then we start to bring in things like SharePoint and Teams, and even Whiteboard has some capabilities in there yet. Now, I want to see some of the list stuff. I'd like to see something light up in there.
OneNote should be highlighted there but it's technically it's just SharePoint on the back end anyways.
So it's all SharePoint. Spoiler alert.
It's all implied. Yeah. In fact, that's something that it's been in a couple of keynotes. Like Teeper said, it's like there's 3 products now: Copilot, Teams, and SharePoint. Yeah. Everything is part of one of those 3. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about me.
And Copilot 365. Yeah.
All right. So we have a video, and this is actually available, and I have the YouTube address on here. If you're interested in watching it, we're going to look at how you can use Copilot with Word to analyze your document.
I know you also do a lot of RFP analysis to manage vendor spend. Can you tell me how you're using Copilot to do that?
Absolutely. A common use case we deal with is comparing our RFP to responses received to analyze and identify any key differences. In this case, I have a sample RFP and response. I prompt Copilot to analyze the response and highlight how they meet or don't meet the requirements in the RFP in a table format, which allows me to easily review the individual terms in question. You can see that Copilot provides a high-level overview of the contracts being compared, as well as a description of the methodology. But the real magic is comparing the key requirements of the RFP along with an analysis of the favorability of responses. Here, I see several clauses that are unfavorable, so I'll use this as a starting point to do a deeper analysis. By identifying discrepancies, Copilot can help focus my analysis. I can even ask Copilot which supplier it would recommend to win the RFP.
Trust but verify.
It's just amazing this process. Like I have a good friend that is a former Microsoft employee that developed an AI tool that does in-depth around the legal role of it. Like, so how many of us are attorneys and know how to do that level of attorney review of contracts? Like none of us. To have that, again, trust but verify, but to have an AI that's trained on specifically that type of data and all of the laws and the things that are out there to go and do review and editing and look for changes and kind of all those things. Again, you can save yourself a lot of money, still probably want to have that human lawyer look at it and do the final review, but you can save thousands of dollars by having this AI review. Again, it needs to be trained properly around that. But that's something that's a common thing that you're doing all the time. You can actually build a SharePoint agent with all of the laws, all of the rules, all the governance things around that, and use that specifically to analyze those new contracts and changes between contracts.
So next we have meeting management, which we manage meetings all over the place. So Planner has some meetings in there. We can use Whiteboard to add agendas or do brainstorming. We have the SharePoint capability to share the documents to go to those meetings. All of those options we have available for meeting management. So let's show how in Teams, Microsoft Copilot can go in and say, here's a whole long meeting. How many of you paid attention and weren't walking around with your fancy headset doing the dishes and the laundry? Nobody knew the difference and didn't really pay attention.
What, you don't have good retention that way? What? Oh.
Microsoft 365 Copilot allows me to focus my attention on the meeting instead of the notes. In this example, you can see Microsoft 365 Copilot in Teams, quickly recapping our team meeting. Not only did it help us summarize the key points, it also neatly captured who's responsible for each action item, ensuring we're all on track and aligned for success. I can delve deeper by asking about any disagreements that arose and exploring the pros and cons of the decisions made. As you can see here, Copilot is able to break decisions into a simple table based on the conversation. I can even ask Copilot to recommend a speaker for the event. Next, I ask Copilot to draft an email that thanks the team for their time and explains the decisions made and next steps. You can see Copilot is able to provide a really great first draft. I'll review the copy, I'll make my edits, and get this out to the team to align on next steps.
I just throw in here. This is one of those, again, trust but verified. Like, I've been unimpressed with some of the initial summaries. You've got to dig into those. One thing I love, though, is then being able to say, like, if I find something, I'm like, let me go back and retrace it. It's like, take me to the transcript of where this happened and go right in and read it verbatim and like, oh, okay, and get more insight. Like, it's fantastic for that. Again, I think that there's plenty of room for improvement on the summary. I think it tries too hard to condense and cuts out critical things, but you can dig, you can ask follow-up questions to get to that insights. Like, never go with version 1, like, ask around, delve around, because again, the way that AI works is it's not a search result. It's giving you what it thinks is the appropriate response for the question. And if you're not asking the right question with the right context, with the right output defined, you're not going to get what you are hoping for out of it. So, like, prompt engineering is a real thing still. Like, we all need to be trained on that. It's just different.
So a couple of caveats on this is that you can't take a recorded meeting from another format, bring it in, and know who was speaking when, because it's picking up from that person's persona as they're speaking and knowing who said what. The other thing you have to watch is that you have to turn transcription on and the recording on when the meeting starts. So it might be a good idea to set that up ahead of time. And I'm doing a session later today where I focus specifically in on meeting management on using Copilot. So
I'm a record by default guy, but I realize that that could be difficult if you're going to cover other
we
things.
Just had.
Right. Yeah.
She's like, wait, I don't think I want this.
Well, that's why, and we do this in calls all the time where we get through the agenda of that. We want to cover other things that we don't want in the recording that's more of a personal nature of that, is that we end the recording and then have that conversation. But it means that you have to remember to do that.
So status and reporting, some of the other tools that we have available aren't really, there's not a whole lot Copilot enabled. Power BI has some, it has had for quite some time where you can ask it to create visualizations based on natural language, and it will create those for you if you have your content Power BI enabled. But, status and reporting, where do we do all of that? Sometimes it's the status that's coming out of a meeting. Some of it's the status that's coming out of Planet. There's
still all manual.
No real good way to roll up at this point to create what I call a status report.
Yes, that's the most exciting thing, which I'll show a little bit. It's the result of that. The settings for that, for saving that. So it depends on your policies internally around that. If the recording goes, then all of the add-on stuff, you have to do something with it to save it, put it in another format. So, but you can set that up. I'm a big fan of in provisioning out your environments to not just delete without multiple notifications. So if I then get emails that said, hey, like I just received an email on my system saying, hey, this recording that you did in this meeting, it's getting ready to be deleted and all the notes around it. I'm like, that's fine. I've already downloaded. I pulled what I needed. That's fine. But it gives me the option to then go and move it down or save it or say, no, extend out for another 30 days or whatever it is.
To me, if it's in the Teams meeting, it should have been recorded in the Teams file repository, not in my personal OneDrive where I have to manage it and then move it and all of that.
Right.
That's just one of my peeves. Put it on the list.
But by downloading or moving over, that's an intentional step that means, okay, this is of value. I need to move it over. If you're not taking that step, it's because, hey, we're just brainstorming on this thing. We took some notes. We did something elsewhere. That's fine to get rid of this reporting.
There's some great resources out on adoption.com if you're one of the people that's responsible in your organization or you're trying to get people in your camp. And this is one of them. And I kind of like this visualization of a day in the life of a project manager where, I need to come in and catch up on what happened yesterday. I'm prepping for a meeting. Maybe I need that information before I go to that meeting. I tend to leave myself about an hour in the morning because I don't like people scheduling me for meetings the first hour because I'm trying to catch up on what happened. I work with people in different time zones. So sometimes I check out early, sometimes I work late, you never know. But being able to do that and then recap that meeting afterwards, what we just saw. Is there any data that was captured in Excel that we could find more information to delve a little bit deeper on where we're at on things? Then we start getting creative with the whiteboard and creating presentations. So how many of you have created a presentation using PowerPoint? Yeah, I like it. It gives me a really good starting point, but they're too wordy. I'm getting a big emphatic nod over here. It's like, no. I like bullet points. And Heather Ackerman is my muse when I'm doing my presentation. She's amazing. If you know who she is. Heather trains, I think, with her blog.
Is anybody aware? Like, there's a great video. We don't have the link. We should add it in, share out the notes. But back at Microsoft Build 2016 or 2017, they did on stage. They set up a little conference room, like a fake conference room. It was like the future of meetings. And this was before the announcements of, even before Teams existed, before all the AI stuff that Microsoft pushing. And they were showing like what leads up until the meeting, what was happening in the meeting in real time, capturing. And they had one of those desktop cameras that picked up like everybody in the room. And so the transcript had the names of the people. And there's like Jabra has a new camera for that. I was talking to them last night about that. That's a lot less expensive than the Microsoft, which was, I think at the time, last time I used one was $20,000, I think, for that one camera. Anyway, but all of that. And then after the meeting, it summarizes and assigns tasks and does all the things. And I remember people sitting watching that live, and people around me, other MVPs we were laughing about some of the stuff. And I was like, the last time I saw a future of video that Microsoft created, like the home of the future back in 2005 or 2006, almost everything in that video has come to pass. So I saw that in 2016, 2017, and just thought, this is exactly what's going on. Now with Teams and with Copilot, everything I saw in that video is either available today or coming soon or in private preview.
And he's doing a shameless plug for my session this afternoon.
Do you have a link to that video?
No.
You should include that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll go find it for you.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, that's before my vintage. Okay. All right. So when talking about prompting, again, it's kind of like you're coaching somebody. You can't just say, go do this and search for it. You need to give them some context. So context, you need to describe the situation. So before you start using Copilot, we have this acronym called CARE. And the first one is context. The second one is ask. So ask specific questions. Don't just say, what restaurants are available in Denver? What restaurants are available in Denver that have these options that are open during these hours you need to give it a little bit more specific information. Right. Then we have rules. So provide some constraints. And so maybe if I have dietary constraints, I'm going to say that has gluten-free options.
Wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, wheelchair accessible.
Right,
yeah.
whatever
that might be. And then give it examples. Some of my favorite restaurants are A, B, C. So that I'm going to get a better response and say what restaurants are available in Denver. There's tens of thousands of them here. And don't send me Taco Bell, right? I'm one of those people that when I travel, I find a local place. I never go to chains because I want to, support small local businesses, number one, but also because, I can go get Texas Roadhouse anywhere. Let's do something that's different.
Well, you know what's coming though. It's going to become like, again, aware of all of your searches and some of your, depending on what permissions you give it. I can't wait to be able to load in an app that makes mine like give snarky responses, sarcastic, even sometimes rude. I want that interaction with my AI. Whereas be like, well, last time you ate at Carl's Jr., so why don't you just go there again? That would be
We did that. We did that with our GPS, and it was, I can't remember which persona it was, but they're like expletives coming out, like you turned the wrong way, and it's like kind of that. My first language is sarcasm, so if you're my people. All right, so here's some ideas on how you can use some of the Copilot options that are in, and this is obviously not an all-encompassing list, but things like Outlook. How many of you are summarizing your inbox? Yeah, it's like, just give me the highlights. I don't need to go through all of them. But I am a control freak, so I'm going to go back and look at them anyway. When you're writing an email, I'm one of those people I've been told, you're really snippy. I'm like, you asked me a question. I answered your question. Why is that snippy? Good morning, Bob. I hope you're having a lovely day. Now I'll answer your question.
So you can be snippy, but then you add emoticons.
Yeah.
And it's like that breaks the tension of the surface of the water. Yes. It's silly, but it's true.
So now I can write the question into Copilot, can you go make this fluffy for me, for those people that need them to be fluffy? And it worked out pretty well. I'll tell you, I recorded one of my classes at LinkedIn Learning, and I prepped the wrong course. Yes, it's on video. I prepped for the wrong course, and Copilot saved my bacon that week because I was able to re-script the course I was actually supposed to record while that was there. So it was pretty amazing. But again, it gave me a good starting point. I had to go back and make it sound like me and, cover the points that I wanted to cover. So the PowerPoint, it's evolving. I can just say that. There's a lot of feedback to that team about that, why can't we just create a template that has these standard things in it?
Right.
So that's all coming.
Yes, why?
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. We just did a MCT training class, and you can tell the person that was doing his feedback did everything in ChatGPT. It's like, you didn't even create your own slides, and everybody could tell. It's kind of like the old templates that used to be in PowerPoint that are still there, that it's the water drop, or it was the mountains, or whatever those standard, you could always tell which were the templates that came right from
But see, I hate creating PowerPoints. I love doing the auto generation based on the outline for that, but then I put my content into it. And so it does the design aspect to make them look pretty, and has the images and the different things that I like, but then I'll go and swap out and put my bullets, put my stuff with my notes in there. It still saves me a ton of time just on the design side of it. I just don't trust, like when it summarizes, it cuts out all of the relevant things and genericizes everything. Yeah, no, good. Yes. Right. Exactly. And that's.
I'm happy with 70% because it saved me 70% of my time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, it's that, especially if you're working with tables or swapping out graphics and kind of all those different things. Like I still have dollars, like those people that are complaining that they've got dollars in Skype, that they've just unused minutes type thing. Like I have unused funding that I've already paid for third-party image sites like Shutterstock type stuff. I don't use Shutterstock who uses list price of Shutterstock. You use cheaper places. But I've got money unused sitting there because now I do everything with AI, and it's fantastic. It meets the need to help communicate out. I don't need to go pay a bunch of money for images. Okay,
so I'm going to use Copilot. Notice at the top it has work and it has web. And this is very, very important. If you have Copilot enabled for your work, it's actually using the information from your repository, all of your emails, all of your documentation, provide the context. If you go to the web, it's going to use more generic, more public information. You're feeding the knowledge base. So if you want to use your work stuff, attach a document with the external web selected, because you're potentially going to get in trouble. I'm a recovering HR professional, and I hate firing people for doing things that were stupid things that were unintentional.
Here's a great PM example, though. If you want to go and get an answer that's based on the PM box, web, public knowledge, it's out there, it's published, get a response back from there. But if you're doing something, if you have your own corporate version of the PM body of knowledge, like that's on your system and all your data, then you go work.
So notice that I am using the web version, and it's starting to pull up the documents. Like here's the documents that I worked on with Christian. Here's some email, and it's pulling up information about my MVP. This is pulling from my document repository. If I take the same context and take it out to the web, I get a very, very different response. So this is something you want to be aware of, right? So it's going through these presentations to familiarize yourself with content. This is
what is this, Shari, Oswald? This is from your doctor saying we've got the results of your test.
Yeah, right? And you may not want to have it on the screen. So let's do it with just the web version. By the way, I'm using Window V as my collect and paste.
You know that you can save multiple clips and use, which is great.
Sorry, I hate this over the shoulder driving. All right, so now it's starting to give me something more that I think is more useful. Here's my mouse. Oh, I saw it. Where'd it go? You see my mouse?
No. There, I just saw it across the top somewhere.
All right. Anyway, so this is giving more of what I was looking for. I need an agenda, create a dashboard. What are the typical steps for that? And I've created enough community days, events, that maybe I want to leverage the information that's already in my tenant versus let's just get a generic one. This is a really great starting point. Start planning my project. What's that? Oh, it highlights, but I couldn't even, it wasn't even on the screen. It was weird. All right. So where else can we use Copilot to start thinking about whiteboard? I've got one more, and Christian's got a lot to say, so I don't want to.
Yeah, mine's about 10 minutes, so we're content. So.
All right. So one quick demo on whiteboard, because this I think is an
whiteboard users.
People. Anybody using whiteboard? Shameless plug for whiteboard.
Yes. Deeper integration. We're going to see more of that. So. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's one of the. That's one of the reasons why I want the big, $10,000 Surface wall unit, was just to do whiteboard and team meetings and stuff. So I can't justify it. So I don't own one. I'm trying to get them. I said, if you send me one, I'll blog about it occasionally. It's not working. So. All right.
So we've got our suggest, we have our categorize, and our summarize as far as Copilot goes for this. I tell it to suggest, and I have queued up a little prompt here.
Of course, you can have common templates that you can develop yourself if you have a reusable, if you've got a methodology that you're doing, if there's a workshop, you can have all that stuff preloaded and ready to go. All right.
So here's some of the options that it's providing for me. Now here's one of the things that I like about this.
There's the map.
Exciting. Categorize those. So what I asked it for were some of the some ideas for a keynote speech for a technology conference that's going to happen in Denver. All right. So it gave me some topic ideas. I'm going to have it categorize it. This was really cool last night. Right now. Categorize. So what are our tracks going to be? Here's our track. Isn't that cool? Yeah, and then now we have a starting point. We can start adding to that. And maybe I want to know who the speaker's going to be.
I love that just for all the submissions. To organize all the submissions and categorize those, like what are the themes of the submissions and how, here's the ones we've selected for this conference. Can we have a dedicated room for AI, a dedicated room for cloud computing? Like, where's the logical split up of these sessions?
But if you haven't played with the templates that are in Whiteboard, I encourage you to go back. There's a lot of really cool new stuff that we don't have much time for. I could do a whole session just on Whiteboard, but then I'd be feeling Jonathan's Sunday.
Jonathan?
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Mr. Buckley's gonna.
Yeah, it's not Jonathan. That's my brother. That's the other Buckley. All right.
My other brother Buckley. Some of you might recognize that name. My other brother Daryl. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
My Daryl. I'm Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
All right, it's my fancy intro here. So this stuff again, so there's, so currently, I am loud. Sorry, it's right up close there. But the Announce at Ignite is the project manager agent. So what I'm going to show you are some of the clips from the demo. There's a longer version, but I'm telling you, like, this is the meat of it. I edited it down to the 8 minutes that are relevant in 5 different pieces to kind of explain what I think are the most exciting aspects of it. But the idea, it's not, the PM agent is almost a super agent, because there are sub-agents that are underneath there that it goes and does a number of things. So it's not just that it's the generative AI on the right side, and hey, it can do stuff with your plans, with your documents.
It actually understand what agents are. They're almost like little bots.
Yeah, so it's Microsoft's labeling of a bot, but yes, so it's a programmed experience. So when you have the environment, when you have the PM agent in your system, it opens up a bunch of the new things. Like, you can go in from a bunch of project management templates. You can create your own templates. What's really cool about this is you could say these templates, like, to research, a competitive analysis, each of these different things, you can create, again, if your company, you have a methodology, your project management organization has a specific flow of the stages of the project, you can go and create templates for each of those. You can then assign your templates to the group, to the team, to the content that's around that, which is really cool. So I'm going to show you just a short, I'll introduce each of these and then a short video to kind of show you this in action.
Here we are. I'm in Planner. I have a set of plans. What I can do now is I can go in and create a new plan. And for those of you who have seen Planner before, you'll notice that there's a new category of templates here called Project Manager templates. And all of these templates have the Project Manager agent wired into them automatically. And so I can go in here and I can use one of the existing templates, or I can create one from scratch. Workplace strategy. Then the most important thing is I am actually going to add a group to this. And so what this does is it actually connects the plan to the group and the SharePoint site associated with that group, so that it uses all the content in there as grounding.
That's the most important thing right there. The fact that the content in there, like, to go and if you have a brainstorm with a high level work breakdown structure of it, then you insert content that's relevant to the project, it will go in, look at that content and expand your outline and create a plan with its suggested, again, trust but verify that, but suggested the tasks, everything that's associated with that. So incredibly powerful to speed up the process for this project. Like, if you go through, if you are a BA, I started as a BA. I know some of you have done BA work before. You go and capture that. You do the discovery of that before you even do the project plan. Use that discovery to automate the building of the plan in Planner.
Here's the firefighter wife for me. CA is business analyst. My husband speaks in acronyms, and I have to translate every time we talk to somebody.
So there's the templates, there's that piece, so if you can duplicate that. But here,
there's some new views and some new pages inside here, as well as the agent itself. And so what you see here is the project manager page, which is a very easy way for somebody to get started. Maybe somebody who doesn't really know a lot about managing the project. They can come in here and type in a goal for that, for the plan. Everything starts with goals. They can actually also add 5.
I'll just say that, and that just jumped. Sorry, I thought it would pause it, but I'll restart it here. But that's important is because this happens all the time as a project manager, where you're going along with a project what you think it is, and then your director, your leader comes to you and says, yeah, but then there's also this. This is a big goal, a facet of it, which could shift everything in the plan, saying, and we also have to deliver, and this thing needs to be shiny red. Whatever that is, it changes the design, changes that. So you can add those things in and it will adjust accordingly to everything within there. So you could actually say that this timeline moved, or the delivery date, or another client that is having the same issue that we're trying to fix in this project is there, and it will adjust and flag impacts to everything in the structure based on that new change.
How many of you have ever worked on a plan that worked exactly like you planned it out? Neither.
Right. So this is what he...
There's some new views and some new pages inside here, as well as the agent itself. So what you see here is the project manager page, which is a very easy way for somebody to get started. Maybe somebody who doesn't really know a lot about managing the project. They can come in here and type in a goal for that, for the plan. Everything starts with goals. They can actually also add files. So if you've done a brainstorm, for example, here on some things that you want to do, you can add that in, and it'll use that as grounding for the plan that it then creates and for all the tasks that it then makes afterwards. So this is effectively added to the team content for you. I can now hit the Generate Tasks button, and this is where a lot of the magic happens. The project manager agent actually has multiple agents that work for it. It's kind of like a boss agent, so to speak. And some of those agents do things like break down tasks. It looks at the grounding content in SharePoint. It looks at the goal that we gave it. And so there's a GAL agent, a SharePoint agent, and the project manager agent is managing all these. And so here we can see it's actually built out a plan for me. Now, what would I do next? The next thing to do is obviously say, well, heck, why don't we assign a couple of these to the project manager agent itself. And so at this point, it actually lists, like any good project manager, delegates, right? Because that's what project managers do. It delegates to some of the other agents to go and execute on some of those tasks. And so I can go to the board view here. And again, for those of you who use Planner, you'll notice there's a new view here, which is kind of the status of the agent and the work that it's doing. Now, I don't have to just use those tasks that it made. I can always add another one. Like I'm going to assign a task to Derek here. Write strategy doc. I should probably spell strategy right. Okay. Let's see. We're going to assign that to Derek. Line it up. Derek, we're counting on you. So what you're seeing now is the agent's actually starting to finish tasks already while I've been doing that. Derek's got his tasks assigned to him down here. He'll go work on that, we hope. By the way, okay, great. He'll go work on that. And so what you can see here is the agents and the people are kind of working together. Pretty cool.
So no, this is a project premium license that requires.
I never get into the licensing, and there's always that caveat.
People are like, ooh, and they try it, and they're like, no, you don't have to do it.
So here you see like the loop integration, so deeper integration, so to collaborate.
So this is where a lot of the agents are going out and looking at the web, looking at the grounding content in SharePoint, and actually coming up and going through each of the steps in the plan and creating content there. This is actually all stored in a Leap file. So you can come in here and you can collaborate as a team. And so pretty cool. You've got Leap now embedded in every task inside Planner. That's pretty cool. So a really nice place to come and collaborate. You can sort of mention each other and, comment and do all those kinds of things. Now, one of the things I might do is say, okay, let's take this here and just put a comment in here. It says, format this in a table. Pretty cool. Maybe I'll scroll down and I'll be like, from the outcome, I'd really like you to expand upon this section. And the whole team can do this. This is actually a very group activity that you can do. And then what I'll do is I'll hit regenerate. And so now it gets assigned back to the project manager. And so again, the agents are working, and while the agents are working and doing kind of the task that maybe I don't want to do, I'm going to go do something fun, which I like to do, which is brainstorm. And so you now have a whiteboard inside Planner. So you can come in here and you could add a couple of Post-it notes. Let's see, we're doing interior design stuff, so I want to know what's going to go on with the chairs. I'm not a very good architect. Desks. And then my personal architect hero, Art Vandelay, says that lighting, some people got that one, is always important, so I'm going to do a lighting Post-it note. So we've done some brainstorming as a team. I can select those and just hit create tasks. So I go back to the board, all of those brainstorming items are now added to the plan. And so I can start building out the plan as I go, as I brainstorm, as I work with Copilot, all these different ways that I can sort of work with the agents that are on the system. And I think this is the one that we asked it to. Oh, look at that. I got a table. So it was off in the background. It was taking all the comments. It could be comments from the whole team. And it's updating all the content inside the loop file for me, formatted as a table, extended the section, and did all that great stuff. And so, of course, the best part is, the wonderful thing that I got my task done.
I love that too.
A little endorphin rush.
It satisfies my OCD, yes. So the next one, I absolutely love this, is the automated status reporting, where this is going. This is something that is still in progress. So it's not available yet, but just check this out.
I don't know about you guys. I have to write like 3 status reports a week. It's terrible drudgery. It's a lot of work. You have to go talk to everybody and figure out what you're going to do. But what we're doing now is creating the ability for you to one-click button to generate a status report off of the GED. So, there we go. So I can basically start generating status reports off of all the data that's inside the plan, as well as the backing store of SharePoint, so you can see what documents are updated and stuff like that. And we will then create a status report for you. Not on that, and it can be, very rich. We'll have lots of sort of visual cues for what's behind, what's on time, things like that. So it would be, I think, a very professional status report for people, so they don't, you don't have to do too much updating to this. You may probably want to put in some TLDR stuff. The other thing you can do is you can schedule these to be on a recurrence. And of course, at the same time, you might actually want it to have a certain tone of voice, like you might want it to come across as positive because the project really is on track and you want to convey that, or things are in trouble and you need help. And so you might want to convey that as well. And you can express that in the way that the status report is created. You say, that's what just happened there. And I can, of course, share it to Outlook because, for whatever it's worth, we still like sending our status reports in Outlook. And so,
on a scheduled basis, like, I don't know who's owned all of that reporting. Like, that was a big chunk of my PM life, was driving that out, pushing those out, doing dashboards.
It took me 2 days. I'd get the update meeting on Friday, and Monday and Tuesday I would spend putting it all together and creating the status report for the Wednesday executive meeting. Anybody have that life? Yeah, no problem.
So what works today is that anything that's created, if there's a planner board and you're assigned something, it shows up in your My Tasks. So that was something that came a couple of years ago. Anything that shows up that's assigned to you will show up in your to-do. So work or personal. Like I also use to-do more for personal things but I love the My Day feature to be able to push in work and personal things and be able to have like this one view of things. Here's a huge ask. There are about a dozen people that harassed at the MVP Summit a couple of weeks back. The project team, the planner team about it says, if I have My Day tasks, 20 of them, and I only get through 10 of them, roll the other unfinished tasks to the next My Day. Give me an option to toggle to do that. Right, all the nodding heads, because it's a pain in the butt to build it every single day. That's why I'm still using sticky notes for those things. But this is, I'm so excited. There's
Of you who use Planner to manage your personal work and the things that you're doing, and you keep the list of your tasks, we are going to be introducing the ability to use Copilot inside of new tasks. So here you can see I'm going to go in, or Derek's going to go in, and hit the prioritize button. And just like in Outlook, that's going to give him basically a list of like, oh, here's what you should be doing today, based on all the same factors that he discussed. And so right here, you'll notice that there's the strategy doc is at the top. You can also click a button and add that to My Day. And so this can actually populate your My Day for you. So you have a really brief list of like all the things you need to do today. And so that'll be a really great service for people who are struggling to kind of manage all the tasks that are coming in across M365 system.
So I don't have the final slide. I've got the thank you here, but where do we go from here of this? So obviously we've got the private preview that's still underway, is being rolled out. If you don't have access to that yet for the PM agent, it's coming very soon. I think they said it will complete rollout by June. So we're not too far away from this. And this was in the announcement back in November. So that we're almost there to where everybody should have access to that. You have to have the right premium licenses to get that, but you have the ability to go and to trial that. And then you have like what we just saw with the reporting and with the My Tasks, like that's something that's still underway. I didn't look at the latest. They talked about it. I don't think they shared dates, but in the roadmap site, I think they may have dates out there, or just coming in 2025 H2, I think is what it says for those. But there's a lot, as you can see, especially when the reporting and the My Tasks are there, how it just is going to completely change the nature of the product. I mean, I'm so excited about this capability. A lot of the reasons why I don't always turn to Planner for all of the projects and use other simpler tools where it's just like too much and doesn't give me exactly what I need. There's so much about this that, I'm sold. I'm excited to get back into that. I spent the first half of my career doing tools and automating a lot of this, and it's just doing it with simple clicks and prompts. So any questions, anything that you thought we would cover that we didn't cover here?
Or what are you excited about?
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do? That's always good for product team stuff.
For the My Task, that's coming. So we don't know what license is there because it's not yet out there and available. Whether they do it more broadly or it's under the premium licenses. I'm assuming it's going to be under the premium because of the AI components for it.
And I'm one of those control freaks where prioritizing my tasks, I don't know. I never even let my self-parking car park itself. That never happened. Yeah. So I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. Prioritize my tasks. I'll have to see what it comes up with before I'm going to trust it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. Oh, yeah. Another question? Yeah. Right.
Like a creator versus a reader.
But that's kind of how the Copilot works now. Like you can have a single Copilot license and you're getting value out of it. Nobody else has to have Copilot to do that. So you could be paying with tax $400 a year all up for $30 a month. It works the same way. Like you'll get value out of it. So your PM leads, your PMs may have it, but everybody else doesn't. They'll still see the tasks. They won't see all the automated capabilities. So you can have limited premium licenses, which is how most organizations, not everybody has projects, but they see the tasks that are generated. That's all there. That's in the base platform. Again, you can participate, but a lot of it is like the create, like Power Platform. Yeah. Like you've got to have the licenses to create, but anybody can go and consume. Or if there is a cost, it's the consumption model.
It's usually like how many questions are they asking. They're going to the by question.
Yeah, consumption model.
Yeah,
they're really trying. Some companies love that. I think a lot of them that use it a lot more heavily than they think find out, certainly with Power Platform, that it's a lot more expensive, that model.
As a trainer, I'm looking forward to that so that I can teach the classes and not have to pay for 12 licenses for 12 months to teach 2 classes a month or whatever.
Do you have any questions? I mean, we're here all week. But feel free to reach out to us again. We're continuing. This is the first time we've presented together in this topic, but both of us are doing in-depth in these areas, doing other sessions, other content. Want to do one final plug for your other session?
Yeah, it's right after lunch. So I'm not sure which one to continue to that, but I'm the +1 on this one. I didn't even make the marquee, but and make sure you get your Friends of Christian Buckley sticker. They're on the table.
Yeah.
Don't forget your sticker. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.